Okay, so calling to order the AGM for Biffy Books Coffee Limited. I'm going to start by giving the minutes of the last meeting very briefly. We discussed the redesign of our website. We discussed and actually put into action reducing the number of staff. We discussed a new outlet in Dunleary, new supplier, DW Catering. All of these issues were resolved in the meeting. Possibility of an annual charity event, the retirement of board member Bill Cullen imminent, and nominating replacements for the coming year. We will discuss that properly further on in this meeting. And the budget, we approved the budget for 2014. Does everyone agree with the minutes as I read them?
I don't agree with the reducing staff. I believe we're spending too much on overtime.
We're going to be discussing that in this meeting, but for the purposes of the previous meeting, other than that, ratified. Okay, so the first order of the agenda. Well, first, are there any apologies, Secretary?
There are therefore apologies. Mary Byrne, Jim Carey, Michael O'Leary and Bill Cullen.
All couldn't be here. Okay, so the first item on our agenda to discuss today is increasing the amount that we give to charity, and we know we're a company that already does charity work.
We can't do that until we do our staff though.
You think that we need to discuss other things in the budget before we get back to the charity? Okay, let's leave right back to that then. The next thing, advertising.
Is huge. We need to expand our business.
There was somebody suggested we start an app for locating stores. I don't know how much that would cost realistically. I don't know, like I haven't worked with IT in terms of doing things like that. Producing an app, would it be cost effective? Does it sound like something we could do?
I think it might cost a bit much.
The question really is will it draw new customers?
100%.
Yeah. So we agree that it would be effective. It's just a matter of whether or not it would be cost effective.
We need to find new ways of advertising that we can expand our business more.
So we are expanding business, as we know. As I read, we have a new outlet in Dunleary opened last year. So it might be worthwhile to invest at this point a little bit of extra money into advertising in different ways. So, I mean, going forward, we're going to be continuing to do the things we already do, the radio adverts and the...
We need to take votes for head advertising though, because Bill Cullen is stepping down.
We do, on the note of advertising, board member Bill Cullen is retiring, as we know, and I asked at the last AGM people to nominate replacements. Do we have a list of replacement nominations?
We do. Martina Davis, Niall Purcell, Ty Murphy and Dana Walsh.
Okay, they're all perfectly acceptable nominations.
We're now going to take votes,
So voting for the new member of the board, I will vote last, as chair people often do. I'll vote last, so casting votes on, I'm going to go through the list then, casting votes on Martina Davis. Next person.
I cast my vote on...
No, I'm going to go through them. Casting votes on Niall Purcell. Nobody? Okay. Casting votes on Ty Cassett.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a majority before we move on, so we can skip the rest of the voting process. Okay, we'll have it noted that Ty Cassett will be notified as nominated to step up to the board. That's fine.
We can discuss the advertising with him and how we can do the app and all, if we can have money.
Going on to that, we will discuss with them the possibility of producing an app. we'll need to talk to a web design company.
Yeah.
Although we can probably use the same crowd we used last year when we redesigned the website, they probably would do it for us.
They were very good.
So I don't see any reason that we can't work with them again. Okay, what's the next item on the agenda?
The layout of stores.
Layout of stores, this is a very short one. Somebody asked about, we have, as you know, our stores are laid out in such a way that when you come in, you're facing directly towards the counter in the coffee dock.
Yeah.
And somebody suggested, one of our managers suggested the possibility of changing it so that you're not facing directly towards the member of staff as soon as you come in the door.
The new store in Dunleary though is laid out different, and I personally think all the stores should be the same. If we'd have the finance to do them all.
Well, it's a matter of moving things, so it's not a matter of, like, we don't have to do renovations or anything. So I don't see any reason that it would cost a huge amount, but I don't know, does the Treasury have any reasons that that's not a thing we could do?
No, I think it's,
There's room in the budget to...
yeah, there's room in the budget.
Okay, well then we'll put that on...
The 2016 AGM.
Yeah, we'll put it on the 2016 AGM we'll try and put it into place this year. So yeah, to make sure that it happens basically. Okay, now the big topic that we need to talk about, last year we reduced the staff.
Big time.
The idea being that it was, we had too many people and that we could save money by reducing the number of staff, but somebody's saying there was an issue with this.
On the reviews on our website, customer complaints about like how slow our service are in a few stores because we have very little staff.
Yeah, and
we spend a lot of money on overtime, I believe.
I was going to say, you were saying to me that in the accounts it's coming up that there's a huge amount of overtime that we're paying people. That we have less people, but we're paying them more because of the amount of overtime they're doing. So, and I'm sure in HR you're probably thinking that it's better to have the correct number of people doing the correct number of hours than to have fewer people doing too many hours. So, I mean, I guess that we're looking at hiring people, but I don't think that we need to go back up to the level of staff that we were at in the beginning of 2014, because that was still too many people.
Yeah.
So,
but the amount of overtime that we're like putting money into, like we could increase charity profits and Christmas bonus, all that stuff.
could I suggest possibly hiring, rather than full-time staff, part-time staff to fill the gaps?
Yeah.
That seems like a good idea. We have a functioning number of full-time staff already.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be noted then that HR is going to be responsible for hiring some part-time staff, and that should resolve that, because we can allow for it in the budget, because we're going to be, I imagine that we're going to be using the money that was already going on these heaps of overtime into the wages anyway.
And if we're going to save a lot of money and we can help with that in Christmas bonuses and charity profits.
Yes.
Will that work out in the budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems fine. What else have we got? Oh, the living wage. When we're on the subject of staff, so we all are aware of the living wages. People have started talking about it now, and it's a thing, and we were already paying a little over minimum wage, but the living wage is still a little bit more than that again. The question is, do we want to become? It's good rep for the company to be seen as a company that pays this living wage.
Yeah.
People like it, and they'll hear about it. It's good press. It does cost more though, but I mean, I'm sure that you could almost take it out of the advertising budget for the year, because it is advertising in a way.
See, we need to spend a lot of money on advertising to expand our business, but when our business is expanding, we could put that money into the living wage.
So maybe instead of this year, we'll put it on the agenda for next year.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just interrupt just for a second? Just for the next few minutes, what I want you to do is not to be doing too much talking and to encourage other people to talk. Okay? So instead of suggesting things that people might say to you, just try and encourage other people to ask them what their opinion is, or what their ideas are on something. Okay?
Well, I mean, on the note of the living wage and the budget is like, we're basically going between advertising and staff here, and I'm not sure, you will have a better idea than I will about the figures for this and what kind of, how much we can afford to put into it.
So here's a list of the financial request for the budget.
Okay, the budget, which presumably doesn't allow for the things we're just discussing today.
No.
No, okay. Okay,
Can I take a look at it?
Yeah.
Okay, and let it be silence, chairperson, there has to be silence, let it be silence to allow people, to give a contribution, because sometimes when you're chairperson, you feel like if it's silence, the responsibility is on you to talk, but it's not, other people talk. And Martina, I have to hear from you, I haven't heard from you on all during this meeting, okay, so you have to make some contribution to it, so you have to think about something, what you're gonna contribute to it, okay, we have a few minutes left.
What do you think?
I personally don't agree, the amount of money we're spending on overtime, that is ridiculous.
Then we'll have to look into that a bit more.
Because we were discussing at the last meeting that we should make a new product for our business, that, and like we could increase like staff and products and uniform and everything. This is just ridiculous. I do not agree with the amount of overtime.
Me either.
When HR is saying that they don't agree with the amount of spending on overtime, then there's obviously a problem.
Yeah. Could you do something about this?
What,
could report it.
well, what number of staff could we look
Then we'll
at?
have to,
I think at least 8 staff in each, depending on the size of the stores, about 8, and I'd say 4 part-time.
So we're looking at part-time wages here.
Yeah.
So what are we paying a part-time wage?
what is it? For a week?
No, an hour. What are we paying a part-time wage an hour?
$8.75.
Is it $8.75?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind, realistically, how many people can we look at hiring on a part-time wage across the 5 stores?
I think 6 in each store.
It depends on the size of the store though, because some
Yeah.
are
Have more
popular
staff
as
in the
the
bigger
other.
stores, and then
Yeah, I mean, obviously the outlet in Dundrum, for example, is going to need more than.
The overtime in Dundrum is just ridiculous. Like, we need more staff in there. I think that's the first store we should look at.
Yeah.
I think that's just ridiculous.
I think just ask Martina for her reviews there on.
do there any reviews on financial?
I mean, it will be you that's
overpay?
hiring them, so I don't know if you have anything that we haven't thought of.
Well,